Welcome to the Car Sim and Race Driver Show with me, Hugh Hattrick, and my very special guest. Well, there isn't one this week, but there will be one next week. Yep, today you've got me, and I'll be talking about the wonderful weekend I had down at Silverstone with some great pictures, some great videos, and some wonderful news about Grand Prix and other things that are coming up in the world of motor racing right now. Well, I had a phenomenal weekend. I had very kindly been invited by Renault to a VIP day to watch the GT Blancpain Championship, which is held all over Europe and has a number of very big races. For example, the one I was at on Sunday lasted over 3 hours, so it's a proper endurance race. And I met one of my previous guests on the show, none other than David Perel. And I'll get the picture of him just here. Yes, there he is, David Perel, driving for the Rinaldi Ferrari, which is a phenomenal, it's a Ferrari 488, which is a brilliant, wonderful car. And he managed to start, because although unfortunately they had an issue with qualifying and started 48th on the grid, but he ended up 13th, which is pretty good going to start from 48th and finish 13th. And he was literally just seconds away from getting even further up the field. So a good shout out and well done to David Perel, a fantastic chap and a really pretty handy racing driver as well. But there were some phenomenal races there. We had the Formula Renault Single-Seater Championship. It really was a great day out. We had the Lamborghini, the Super Trofeo Championship race as well that was there. So I've got a special video which to show you some of the pictures. And here they are. Now, we had the Spanish Grand Prix on Sunday at Catalunya near Barcelona, and the race was of course won by Lewis Hamilton. Despite starting second on the grid, he made a much better start and got past his teammate Bottas really at the first corner and went on to win the race. And that was about it. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were quite a few overtakes here and there. There was a few, people tripping up over each other. Grosjean had a number of routes to the escape road when he was coming together with both Hulkenberg and others. So yes, it was quite an interesting race. Sometimes Spain can either be really boring or not so dull, and with a rare occasion it's quite interesting. But yeah, it wasn't the most brilliant race it's ever been. Certainly Monaco comes in a week or just over a week's time, and I think that should be a lot more fun. It can usually end up being quite an interesting race depending on the weather conditions. But certainly the Formula 1 was nowhere near as exciting as the GT Blancpain Championship that I was watching on Sunday. Now, the great thing about the GT Blancpain Championship is that you can see it for free. They have a YouTube channel and it's broadcast live, which is probably one of the best ways to actually watch it because it is close racing. Lots of, there's accidents and all sorts of things that happen. Plus, they drive at some of the best tracks in the world, so it's well worth watching. And that's also true of the Goodwood Festival of Speed, because that is now available, it has been for quite a while, on YouTube as well. So when it's when it's on over the 4 days of Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, you can get to see all the best action, all the best camera angles, and if it's wet, you don't have to experience the rain. You can simply watch it from the comfort of your own home. And I have to say, it's well worth it, because if you don't make it there, it's really good to see what's happening, to see all the new cars. What's quite funny as well is on the Thursday, that you can actually test drive the cars going up the hill. So you get to see from Ferraris at 1 second to Dacia Dusters the next. So it's quite a surreal experience, but well worth a watch. And if you can still get tickets, the last I saw, there were still some tickets available, I think, for Saturday and Sunday, but a lot of the 4-day passes, I think, had all been sold out. So there's now really limited spaces available. But they are promoting family passes as well now. So if you have young children and you want to take them to Goodwood, then it's certainly an option to have a look at. We've done it before, and it can be the only, I would say, thing to watch out for. If it's very, very hot, it can be really maybe a little bit too much for the kids, even though there are family areas. It just can be a really kind of long day for them. So maybe wait till a little bit older, I would say, where they'll get a little bit more enjoyment from it. But there's lots of things for them to do, and it is great fun for the whole family on the whole. So, what has been happening in the world of cars and motor racing? Well, we should have had the Key 25 being interviewed today, but unfortunately we weren't quite able to sort it out at the last minute. But we are got it in the diary again to make sure that we get that interview with Kieran, and hopefully that will come next week. But there's been some phenomenal racing in the sim events for the FIA events and Nations for Gran Turismo. Lots of great videos to watch, but also obviously with the Key 25, with Super GT, and with GT Disney Racing. They've all been competing in different events, plus obviously the FIA and the Nations Cup as well in the Manufacturers Series. So there's lots of great races, so check out their channels and make sure you give us a like as well and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, I would like to show you the simulator that I had a shot on Sunday there. Have a look at this. Yes, this was the fully hydraulic and direct drive simulator. It's an Eclipse 6, which is, I think it must be French as far as I can see. It was the Renault Sport team that had brought it across from France, none of which hardly spoke a word of English. And they said it was roughly about 30,000 euros. But it's quite a machine. The whole thing lifts up when you get into it. And it's got obviously 3 screens there. You can have a manual gearbox, you've got paddle shift as well, and then you've got your accelerator and brake. But it leans far forward. When you brake, it goes back when you accelerate. And we were driving the Renault Megane RS Sport on this car, which was really, on this unit, which was really quite good fun actually, having some great lap times. I have to say, it didn't win any prizes for my lap times. In fact, I thought there were, as you can see, there was 2 here. There's one on the right and one on the left. The one on the right seemed to be a bit faster and a wee bit easier to drive. So I don't know exactly what had happened there, but that seemed to be the case. Seemed to be able to do better lap times on the one on the right hand side. But it was a really good experience, and I have to say, if I could get a hold of one of these, I think that would be a definite money spinner, because everybody wanted to have a shot. The queue was really pretty good all day for them. But it was a great fun. I mean, you could see it's got a suede wheel, and it was quite close to you. You could actually move the pedals and the steering right up. So whatever size you were, however tall or small you were, you could get a really good driving position. And it was almost like being in a go-kart, the way it kind of moved about. And it felt really kind of active and alive. Definitely recommend. I mean, these things are obviously pretty expensive. But if you can get a go on something like this, you'll have a lot of fun. Now here are the Meganes that we were driving on Sunday. I did a very, very little spoof clip, which I'll show you here.
Welcome to Davis Monte Carlo.
And they were rather nice. As you can see, they're the 5-door Megane RS. These are actually the special RS 280s, and also the special 300 horsepower versions as well, the Cups, which have that little bit extra horsepower. This is special paint that actually goes through the factory no less than twice. They paint it the first time, and then it goes back into the paint shop and gets a second coat. And that's why these cars are actually very rare. And out of every 1,000 cars that they sell, similarly only 80 are actually going to be in this colour. So this is probably the colour to have, because I think in the future these are going to be worth a bit more than some of the other cars, because you can get them in white and red and black and quite a lot of other colours, but I think this kind of yellow is pretty good as well as the kind of bronze colour. It stands out a huge amount as well. So what was it like to drive? Well, I'll let you have a quick look. Here we are. There we are. This is a picture of the car that I took on my phone. It's a lovely kind of bronze colour. It's quite a machine actually, I have to say. It's just such a nice looking car. And as you can see, it's just got these lovely black wheels. They're the Jerez wheels, which are, I imagine, quite an expensive option, but it really is a wonderful looking machine. And they start off at round about £27,000. I was actually given a quote for around about that kind of money, which is a bit of money off, about roughly about 6 to 7%, which is pretty good because there are not many of these around. Obviously with this colour you'll pay a bit extra for that, but a standard car roughly is about £27,000, which is really pretty good when you think you've got 280 horsepower. And I mean the seats and everything else. I'll show you a picture of that. This is the interior. You've got a lovely steering wheel there with the famous red line, a 6-speed, very short throw gearbox, bucket seats, they really are, they hold you in, and a normal handbrake, which is certainly very useful when you think of the kind of driving you'll be doing. A full screen, massive touchscreen there. Now I noticed in some of the standard cars it doesn't actually come with that, so maybe that's an optional extra, but I would say it's definitely one worth having. But as you can see, it's very much like the standard Megane, just with some extra touches there. But it felt very, very solid. It's also 4-wheel steer, and it also so that works out to help you get around the bends. It was incredibly quick. I mean, it just wanted to fly. You've got the RS mode, which is kind of does all the kind of turns everything off and allows you to have really a good time. You've also got race mode, but they told us we're not allowed to have that one because we were actually driving the car, not on the track, but it was just round the roads near Silverstone, so we didn't want to do anything crazy. But it was a lovely, lovely machine, and if you're interested in buying one, let me know because I can source one and get you about 6% off the list price, which is pretty good for a brand new Renault Megane RS. Now, for all you sim fans who are watching and waiting and have gone through all my car reviews and everything else, this is the Logitech G29 Driving Force Racing Wheel, which is a great steering wheel and pedal set to get if you're starting out in sim racing. It's the one that I use along with a play seat as well. Now, normally these are well over £200, but a number of deals are available. For example, this one here at Argos is £199.99. But when I was in Costco the other day, they had a selected amount of these Logitech G29 racing wheels and pedal sets, and they were just £150 including VAT, which is really, really cheap. Now, they don't have it on their online version, otherwise I would have shown you a picture of it here. But they certainly had them in stores. So what I would do, if you are a member of Costco, or you know of someone who is, give them a ring and see if they've got any left in stock, because that is a phenomenal price. 150 quid, that's cheaper than anywhere else I've seen, and it's definitely worth a look if you want to get a more real experience when playing on things like Gran Turismo and Formula 1 and things like that, because this wheel and pedals is a great set, very easy to set up. If you have the play seat or something similar, it works extremely well with that. So I would certainly recommend the deal of the week for 150 quid at Costco, a Logitech G29 racing wheel, and no doubt we'll see you improve and get up the ranks and see if you can take on Super GT and alike with these wonderful sim technology that you can have in your own home. Now, how about one of these seats? It's the Playseat F1. Now, these have gone up massively. Last year, you could get these for about maybe £600 to £700, maybe £699, something like that. But now, they're nearly £1,500. But it is quite a thing. I remember going to the Renault factory tour a couple of years ago, and they had this set up, which is fantastic because you sit really low and the steering wheel's right in front of you, and it's quite a machine to work. So when you attach your F1 steering wheel and all the pedals and things like that, you've got a really fully immersive experience. But at £1,500, it's quite a bit of money. But you can get a normal play seat for around about £180 off Amazon and things like that. So if you know anyone who's on Amazon Prime, it's worth having a look and seeing if you can get one that way. But that's all for our special deals this week, and it's pretty much all for the show. But I'll be adding on the extra video content. Plus, remember, you can listen to our podcast, which is the Car, Sim and Race Driver Show. Now, we have special exclusive content that you don't get on YouTube. You can only get it on Podbean, but you have to listen to the podcast to be able to get it. And it's available on Podbean, SoundCloud, iTunes, and it'll be coming later on this weekend. So look out for the Car, Sim and Race Driver Show. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye just now.